Happening right now at the White House, Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt taking questions from reporters, of course, after the fatal shooting of 37-year-old Alex Pretti in Minnesota. He is the second U.S. citizen killed by a federal agent in that state this month. So let's go live outside that press briefing room where CBS News White House reporter Willie James Inman is keeping tab on everything said from the podium. So far, what are the headlines coming out of that briefing?
Hey there, good to be with you, Reed. Well, the press secretary essentially casting some of that blame onto Democratic leaders in Minnesota. This follows, of course, a phone call between President Trump and Governor Walz of Minnesota, where they look to appear to be trying to turn down the temperature. Governor Walz saying in his statement passed on from his office that the president agreed to look into reducing the number of federal agents in Minnesota. Karoline Leavitt, the press secretary, acknowledging that fact coming from the podium. So we anticipate the specifics in terms of what will happen with those federal agents there, what numbers and how they will be reduced. She also said that the president continues to have confidence in his DHS Secretary Kristi Noem. Earlier in the day, he said that he was dispatching his border czar, Tom Homan, to oversee the situation on the ground there in Minnesota. Listen to what she said.
Saturday, the Department of Homeland Security posted that Pretti looks like he wanted to do maximum damage to massacre law enforcement. Stephen Miller on Saturday posted that, or called Pretti a would-be assassin. Why did administration officials jump to conclusions before an investigation had even been conducted?
Well, look, this has obviously been a very fluid and fast-moving situation throughout the weekend. As for President Trump, whom I speak for, he has said that he wants to let the investigation continue and let the facts lead in this case.
With regards to the deployment of Tom Homan to Minneapolis, should the deployment of Mr. Homan to Minneapolis be seen as a sign that the president is dissatisfied with how the officials on the ground had handled the incident?
No, Mr. Homan is doing an exceptional job, and he has been working with Secretary Noem and President Trump over the course of the last year. Secretary Noem still has the utmost confidence and trust of the President of the United States, and she's continuing to oversee the entire Department of Homeland Security and all of the immigration enforcement that's taking place across the whole entire country. Of course, Secretary Noem is also in charge of FEMA, and we are in the wake of a brutal winter storm where hundreds of thousands of Americans have been impacted by that. So Border Czar Homan is in a unique position to drop everything and go to Minnesota to continue having these productive conversations with state and local officials. And I know that he's catching a plane in just a few hours to do just that at the request of the president.
And our colleague Jennifer Jacobs asked the press secretary if the president had been briefed on the specifics of what took place, what we all saw in those videos over the weekend, how many shots were fired, the situation on the ground, how many guns were discharged, and how many protesters were involved, all of that. And the press secretary essentially responding that the investigation, the president is leaning into that investigation, not wanting to prejudge the situation. But I'll note, as she responded to that question at the top of her remarks, there have already been officials that have said that Alex Pretti was somehow a domestic terrorist, somehow there to seek and cause harm to federal agents on the ground. While this investigation, there's been no conclusion of this investigation that is ongoing. So I would just want to point that out for our viewers there at home, Reed.
Willie James Inman, thank you so much. You just heard about our very own CBS News reporter Jennifer Jacobs asking a question about what's happening in Minneapolis. Let's go ahead and listen to what was said there.
Has the president been briefed, and have you been briefed on specific details of the shooting? How many shots were fired? How many guns discharged? And I mean, did the protesters' gun go off, or only the officers' guns? Do you have any of those details?
Again, the investigation is continuing, Jennifer, and we will let the facts lead and we will let the facts play out in this investigation. I do know that HSI and FBI are conducting interviews with those that were involved and the agents who were involved in this unfortunate tragedy on Saturday.
Are they keeping the president up to date on all those details?
The president is obviously very much on the ball with respect to this investigation. I think he's made that quite clear with the various statements that you've seen him put out, and also the 4 points that the president has outlined as well to Governor Walz, and to encourage him to cooperate with ICE and with the administration. Mary.
Thanks, Caroline.
So now to senior coordinating producer of CBS News Crime and Public Safety Unit, Anna Schecter. Anna, you've been listening into this as well. This at least seems like to me that the Trump administration is wanting from here on out to take a more measured approach. They're sending in border czar Tom Homan, who even after the shooting of Miss Good in Minneapolis said to our own Tony DeCopel, we want to see the investigation play out. It sounds like President Trump is squarely right there today.
Well, that's a great point, Reed. And President Trump really does put a lot of trust in Tom Homan. They go way back for years. Homan's always been a supporter of his politically since he launched his campaign for the 2016 presidential race. So this is somebody that he really trusts, that he is sending there to help. Obviously, this situation, it was a tragedy on Saturday. Karoline Leavitt herself acknowledged that. But a little bit of news we just heard read out of this conference. So we know that there actually is an HSI investigation underway, and she said that HSI and FBI, whoever's conducting this investigation, is interviewing the agents involved in the incident on Saturday, and so they are taking that down. I mean, that is an important first step, and it's important for us to just put a timestamp on that. That today, about a couple days later, we are learning that those agents are in fact being interviewed according to the White House press secretary. So that's a bit of news. I'm also interested to hear that the FBI is on the record supporting here and working with HSI. Generally, in an investigation like this, you would have the FBI as lead, and you would have the Minnesota Attorney General working with the FBI. You'd have local and state officials supporting an investigation. But as we talked about earlier, Reed, it appears that there's been such a breakdown of trust in local officials that the federal officials want to keep that investigation contained, Reed.
All right, and also a bit of news that it sounds like that conversation between Minnesota Governor Walz and President Trump could result in maybe some troop pullback. That awaits to be seen. Anna Schecter,
right.
Thank you so much.